Culturally Clueless.
Previously.
Is it about asking questions and getting some, truthful answers? Or is it actually, being offensive to the religion and the followers of that religion?
Yeah.
It's more than just saying, oh, I'm going to hurt. It's more than just hurting someone, isn't it? These Christophobias and Islamophobias and anti-Semitism is basically, you cannot attack our ideology, you cannot question our ideology. And that is the truthness, whether you like it or you don't.
No, this is when you attack people.
Culturally Clueless.
If you have the Uyghurs being killed by the Chinese, okay, based on their religion, if you have the Rohingyas being killed based off of their religion, which is used by politicians and used by economy for a particular agenda, that is what we call Islamophobia or anti-Semitism. If people do get killed in masses. For example, there is, I don't know if you know about this, but maybe you don't. There is in India, Christians and Muslims are heavily under attack by the Hindu right-winged movement and government. Okay. Their church is
called the Hindutva.
Yeah, maybe you can elaborate more on that, delivery, so I don't have to.
Very little, unfortunately. Sorry, I caught what you were saying as I was walking past my phone. Sorry.
No, yeah. So there's churches being bombed, there's mosques being bombed, there are people being killed, there are people being displaced based on them being Christians or being Muslims. So are we disregarding that?
No, we're not. And if they are being bombed, it's because the person that's doing the bombing has an ideology that tells them to do what they are doing. Now, for example, you mentioned, Christians, Muslims being killed and so on. Mm-hmm. If you looked into the persecution of Christians in Muslim countries, for example, over 5,000 people each year are murdered for being Christians. They are heavily persecuted. You should look into it and you'll see it.
I looked into it.
This is what I'm trying to say. When we're talking about the ills of the world, the problems of the world, yes, when Muslims are being persecuted is because whoever's persecuting the Muslims has an ideology that allows them to go ahead and persecute the Muslims, or because they, for whatever agenda that they have, if they think, for example, Muslims and Christians are going to be a casualty, they don't care, but they are working with a certain belief. They have a certain belief, and they think that this is the priority. This is what matters, not the Christians, not the Jews, and so on and so forth. That's how, okay. But that was my entire point.
So what about the Armenian Christians that are being killed, who've been living since the 400th century in Jerusalem? I thought the Holy Land was for everyone. What about that? Yeah, so we're going to disregard that as well as, or are we going to give attention to that because they're Christian now?
No, the Armenians, if we're talking about the Armenians, shouldn't bring up the Armenians, because the Armenians have been persecuted by Muslims since the very beginning.
I'm talking about the Christian Armenians that are living in the Armenian quarter in Jerusalem who are being taken out by Israel.
Israel.
They are deliberately being killed for being Christian, not for being Armenian.
Yes, for being Christian. Yes, absolutely. Jews also persecute Christians.
That's the point. Everybody persecutes everyone. So, so what are we going to do? This Christian persecuted each other. If you look at the 15th century.
Nez, you're not getting it. Yes,
I'm not getting
something. Yes, you're not getting it. Everyone does bad. Everyone does good.
Well,
okay, hold on a second. The point is, the majority, the point is, you have to look at whether their ideology supports it. Some do more bad than others. So, for example, when you look at Judaism, when you look at the Talmud and what, and maybe the Jewish brothers here can think, because for some reason, the Jews don't like the Christians in the Holy Land, and they, I don't know if you've seen videos of them beating them up, destroying
spitting on them, everything,
spitting on them and doing all of that. You see, this is what I'm trying to get you to get to, Nez. You have to find out, where is that coming from? Why such vitriol? Why do they hate? It's not because the religion doesn't have nothing to do with it. No, we have to look at the teachings. In Christianity, there is nothing that says go and attack a Muslim, go and attack a Jew, go and kill a Jew.
But it's happening.
This
is what you're not getting.
Which Christian country is out there attacking Jews?
I don't know about Jews, but they were attacked. I mean, let's talk about the Holocaust.
What country is Christian?
There isn't, because the whole world became secular. We used to have.
So that's the problem with your question.
No. This is what I'm trying. My question.
Is the problem with your question?
Hold on. I was saying sarcastically. I was saying, is there a group of Christians, a militia that's like Boko Haram, that's going out there in the name of Christianity, in the name of Jesus Christ, bombing people and I don't know, killing them and so on? You said Ness. You said yes. Can you please tell me who these militants, Christian militants are?
There is
neo-Yazis.
Thank you.
Right?
All neo-Yazis.
All neo who?
Nazis.
I forget we're not on
Fantastic.
TikTok.
That is
gotten
great.
Into my brain.
All neo-Nazis. Okay, now let's look at what neo-Nazis believe in. All right, they saying they're doing this in the name of Christ. Now let's go and see if Christ ever said to go out there and bomb Muslims and kill non-Christians. Okay, let's go out there.
Religion says that about the next religion.
No. And again, Ness, you're wrong again. But be glad that I'm here. But the thing is, there is nothing in the Gospels. There is nothing in the epistles of Paul. There is nothing that says, you know what, go out and kill other people in the name in my name.
Jesus Show me Christ where it is in the Quran. Show me where it is in the Torah.
Hold on. So those neo-Nazis, what they are doing, and I told you I don't want to get into a religious debate. Those neo-Nazis, what those neo-Nazis are doing is contradicting the religion, and this is how we can verify whether that person's what that person's reason is for what they're doing. What they're doing is it comes from somewhere else, or another ideology. It doesn't come from Christianity.
That is crazy. So you give that grace to the Nazis, right? But you don't give that grace to Boko Haram. You don't give this, and I just want to tell you this, right? Boko Haram, ISIS, all of these groups are products of the West, okay? They are purposely invented or created to destabilize certain places, okay? So I mean, by now it should be common knowledge, but you cannot say this group is not using religion to justify what they're doing, because it's not true, but the other group is, and we're gonna believe that. I'm sorry, but that doesn't work like that. How you said it should be even, it should be the same for everyone. Sorry.
Which is, you brought. No, that's all right. I'm just confirming your point, which is I know that this is not a religious debate, but you brought up that I think none of the versions or parts of the gospel say that you can attack or you can persecute another group who doesn't believe in your belief. So, but you mentioned that about the gospel only, all right? And maybe that's why I'm confirming what Nez is saying, that do you think that in other books of other beliefs, and I'm speaking it in general, do you think that it is there?
Oh, yes.
Do you think that it says?
That it says what? You're talking about Islam?
Well, you can attack another group that is not that. I'm asking in general, based on your readings or your researches.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, absolutely. I found that
based on the readings and researches that you've done. Yeah.
Yeah, basically, I've found radical differences between ideologies. So this idea that all religions are the same and we are all we're supposed to be all sitting down and singing kumbaya is absolute rubbish. It doesn't exist. When you actually study and when you actually research these different ideologies, you
I,
have to find out
I,
why.
I think Nez and my question were a bit clear and more direct, like in other religions, and I'm not talking about Islam only. Based on your research and readings, okay, where did you see in other religions and other beliefs or other books, holy books, if we can call it, or scriptures, can you bring some example from your readings so we can at least
So when you say other religions,
enhance, we can enforce our knowledge.
no. When you say other
No,
religions,
because Nez brought up a couple of examples. Nez brought up a couple of examples, Boko Haram, and brought up, of course, the Nazis, and what else, Nez? So I'm giving you a variety of maybe
okay,
again from your research and from your reading.
Okay, Boko Haram is an Islamist group, and the neo-Nazis. This is a supremacist, nationalist, Aryan group. That's their ideology. That's what they believe in. They believe that they are superior than other people, that their race is superior, and so on and so forth. But that's where they're coming from. I'm not understanding you because you're saying groups.
The question is,
other groups?
bring something from any religious books that says go and attack the other religions.
Go and attack the other religion.
Because you said because it's okay for if Nazis do it and they use Jesus Christ, it's not okay because it's not equatable to Christianity in your mind. But if Boko Haram does it and they're gonna abuse Islam for it, then it's okay. Then you're gonna say, look what they're doing, and this is what Islam is. But we wouldn't be allowed to say, look what Nazis are doing, and this is what the Bible is. This is exactly what you do. This is where you contradict yourself.
Okay, I can. I'm not contradicting myself because I can turn around. I can show you exactly. I can show you in the Quran. I can show you in the Hadith where, for example, Boko Haram does what it does, and that would be my evidence for why Boko Haram does what it does. And
but this is. I'm sorry, I mean to interrupt.
No, go, delivery, go. Get involved.
I just this is my problem with the idea though of using ideology as the measuring stick is because I could just as easily throw that stick back at you and ask you about the Crusades and using the idea of just war against evildoers and non-believers as a self-defense strategy from the Catholic Church. This is where that problem comes, is we can't just say the book is the book is the book because everyone is going to interpret things, literally everyone, in 1,000 different directions all of the time. And if we cannot say that interpretation is inevitable, it's going to happen. It's just what people do is they look for meaning where that meaning may or may not even be. Then we end up in this trap of saying like, this is better than that, or these are better than those. And that's just not how it works. The reality is that there have been great swaths of periods of history when the three Abrahamic faiths have coexisted. And they've done this through a mutual respect. This is 600 years of the Holy Land that existed without war. And that 600 years existed when Europe stayed out of the Holy Land.
All right. Just to answer your point there, delivery. And thanks for bringing that up. I like to be challenged. If someone is attacking your house and your family, and they are trying to take your possessions, and they are trying to hurt you, and so on and so forth, and you will naturally, it's a natural instinct that human beings have.
We're talking about the Crusades?
Yes, it's a natural instinct for human beings to protect. In fact, it's a Christian commandment. It's part of love thy neighbor. I'm not going to sit here and watch someone grape I didn't say the word R with the R, my wife, and I'm not going to do nothing. I'm not going, that's unloving. That goes against the commandment of love thy neighbor. So we do believe in just war. And there is such thing as just war. When you're not the aggressor and people are attacking you, you have to protect yourself. And
Maybe I'm confused. Are you saying that the Crusades were a just war?
yeah, I was just gonna get the delivery. Just bear with me
Oh,
for
I'm
a
sorry.
moment. I absolutely, from what I've looked at, from all the research that I've done, it was a just war because after Islam, when the first caliphates, after the death of Muhammad, basically what happened is they went around attacking Christian lands. They took Egypt. They took all these used to be Christian lands. Then they ventured to Europe, Portugal, Spain for 800 years was Muslim was Muslim, and then they ventured into Italy and then so on. And then this is when they I think it was the king along with the pope. I think it was the pope that decided, I forget which pope it was, but decided that something has to be done because otherwise they would have literally taken over us. So yes, there is just war is something that we agree with absolutely 100%. We couldn't stay there and just watch Muslims take over everything and grape the women and do all types of stuff. We couldn't sit there and watch that.
It's only
So yeah,
Muslims that do that, right? Christians don't do
no,
that. Like
no, no,
Christians, they didn't have a fight. The
Don't
Crusaders,
misrepresent. Ness, don't misrepresent. It's not fair. The
I
Crusade.
think what you're doing is not
I'm
fair.
giving you the historical background on the Crusades. If you want, you can go and look into yourself, read
I
it.
have,
Read
I
about the
have, and I'm
Crusades.
not saying it never happened, but what I'm saying is, and this is the thing that you don't understand that we're trying to say to you, it happens equally with all and every religion. Everyone at some point was out to get someone.
I don't agree with that.
That is
I think
crazy.
I think
So
I
you're
think
disregarding history then?
no. I think it happens more with certain ideologies than it do with others. And my issue is not even that people do bad things in the world. Uh, that's a given. People do bad things in the world. My issue is, does their ideology support it? And
Where is it in the Quran that it says go and grape women? Show me.
makes me
I want that. I want that. I want that. Actually, if you can, we're not going to make it a religious, but this is dangerous what you're saying, and I don't like it. This is very dangerous. Can you bring that up where it says in the Quran that go and grape women?
have I offended people?
No, I think I'm not saying it's offense. I don't care. Like this is your belief, whatever you want
I'm
to
sorry, I
believe.
don't I
I'm
don't mean to
very
offend. I'm
no,
sorry.
no, no, no.
It
I'm
is not
very
about offending.
Yeah. Go,
Uh,
It is
go
not
right.
about offending now.
I
It's
don't mean,
about
I was
really
just
saying
expressing.
something that doesn't exist.
Um,
It's
sorry.
about saying something that doesn't exist.
So what did I
It's
say
not offending.
that doesn't exist?
You brought up the
There is no
the raping
passage
example.
from my understanding, sorry, Ray, but from my understanding with my definitely less than comprehensive understanding of the Quran, nowhere does it justify any kind of sexual violence.
Sorry.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's where Ness is
Sorry, when I mentioned graping, I was talking about in the context of the Crusades. Guys, I need you to hear me. I wasn't this wasn't a critique on Islam. I was saying that part of what they were doing was graping. Now, if you think that was is that I didn't say the Quran. I didn't say the hadith. Now I can point you to other passages, and again, I didn't want to turn this into a religious debate. I've been trying to stay away from that, but I can show you many other passages that I think is problematic with Islam, and is one of the reasons why I reject Islam. And it's one of the reasons why I reject feminism, why I reject whatever. I've found this, okay, and with Christianity, I haven't found nothing that
Really,
that
really.
I would.
In the Bible, there is nothing
You
that
guys are
says,
triggered. You
"Oh,
guys are triggered.
wow."
You guys are triggered.
No, it's not triggered. I just, you see, this is. I tell you what triggers me. I'll
Well,
tell you what triggers me.
again, it is not about being triggered. It seems like, I don't know if you feel like we are triggered again, because there will be some listeners here, okay, to this podcast and to this episode from different backgrounds and different, of course, beliefs and so on, right? It is unfair to bring up something without really, and that's what we are asking for, basically, like, okay, where did you come across? Because basically, look, I'm not triggered, but I am worried that if you found something like this, some verses, some parts, and you found them, okay, I'm worried now that someone else is going to find them and take them and move forward and use them as an evidence, which basically those evidences are non-existent, basically. And maybe they were, you found them somewhere, and that somewhere was just a bad source for you. You know what I mean? So it is not about being triggered here. It's about that, again, we need to be mindful that there are some listeners here who, are trying to make an opinion, who are trying to learn something today. Okay. And we just don't want them to learn the wrong thing. Do you agree with me?
So I don't think you're characterizing me in the right way. First of all, I haven't even brought up anything from the Quran yet, and you guys keep insinuating, and you keep bringing it back to when you watch this back, you'll see.
I was going to say the same to you.
No,
I was going to say the same to you.
And I keep getting interrupted, but look, listen, it's very simple. I haven't even quoted one single scripture from the Quran, but you guys keep bringing it to the Quran, into the Hadith, into Islam. I said that I found that I was talking about ideologies and what people believe in. Usually stems from how people behave. Usually stems from the ideology that they believe in. That's what I've been talking about. Now,
you clarified earlier that ideology to you is religion.
I even said, if you want to have a religious debate, we can have a religious debate, and I can pull up loads of what I think is problematic with Islam. I spoke about feminism. I spoke about Judaism, or what I think is problematic with all these religions. But I do believe.
And you left Christianity out.
Yeah.
No, I didn't leave Christianity out. In fact,
you just did. No, I'm saying you just did.
No. Delivery. I actually thanked you when you brought Christianity up, when you brought the Bible up. I actually thanked you, and I said, "This is great. I like being challenged. Let's talk about it. Where does it say in Ham that where does you brought a biblical scripture? I haven't brought one single scripture from Islam yet, and I could if you guys want me to, but I suggest
but that's the problem. You're using the behavior of justifications for the Crusades, which lack evidence, to justify the holy war of the Crusades. And I don't consider it a holy war. I don't consider any war just. I consider defense just, but I do not consider offensive war to be a justifiable thing. And there are very, very limited examples where it has been, but that is usually when a third party enters the conversation on behalf of the oppressed. And that's not what the Crusades were. The Crusades were an attempt to dominate the Middle East conversation about faith with European Christianity. That's what it was. And they had all kinds of reasons for it, that some of which may have had some founding in fear of losing, influence in the world, but the idea that we can use justifications brought about by like literal racist ideologies of that period in time to justify the wholesale slaughter of people native to the Middle East is crazy to me.
I'm sorry, delivery. With all due respect, I'm sorry to say, but you what you're saying about the Crusades is wrong, way off. It's not historical at all. That's not what happened in any way, shape, or form. And again, I've been trying to not make this into a religious thing, but just the Crusades alone.
I mean, millions of people died in a period in time when there weren't billions.
Let me just get my point across without interruptions, guys, because I'm noticing a lot of people are interrupting me now. The delivery, we can look into the thing together, into the Crusades together, and what you'll see is you're absolutely wrong. The Crusades was a response to Islamic aggression. That's what it was. And it shouldn't be a problem me saying this. And if of course, if people think that what I'm saying is not true, then yes, okay, let's have the discussion. Let's go and do the research and see what we come up with. But it shouldn't be a problem me saying this. The fact that
Then
people
I
are
would love to see your
triggered,
evidence.
but well, we have
No one's triggered. I want to hear your evidence.
Delivery. I look, listen, we are having a discussion, right? This is a discussion. This is not a point of, this is not a place where we do the research here and now and blah 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 and share.
But
share.
you're making a claim that is not evidenced by facts.
Yeah.
No, it is evidenced by facts. But
then please share your facts so that
yes,
I can adjust my opinion.
Yes,
yeah, I think what you said is very troubling, right? My take on what you said was that the Crusades happened because Muslims were raping Christians. That's what I took from that part of the conversation.
Okay.
You know what? You know what? My
is
other problem.
okay.
My other problem here is that. Look, my other problem here is that, you know, and look, again, not being triggered, but again, in order to steer the conversation and the purpose of this episode, I would say, okay, what happened here is that some example was given, all right, and that example, so far, you know, trying to at least to put the conversation back on track, okay. You know, delivery, Michael, myself, Nez, we're trying to maybe ask for more explanation. All right. Again, to put the conversation back on track. 1 second, please. Okay. But what happened here is that what happened here is that, yes, you know, honestly speaking, I feel like, you know, it is a good interruption because the conversation is sidetracked towards one subject based on the example that you brought up, okay? You know, because, you know, for me, a simple answer, and I would move forward, again, not in order not to steer the attention of the listeners and to steer the conversation towards the debate itself, okay? I would give a good answer for the 1400 years ago until now, right? Even when the Muslims, and you said, you know, the aggressions of Muslims towards Christians at least in the Middle East and in Jerusalem and those areas where the Crusaders, you know, let's say, came back, okay, to defend, all right, over the 1400 years, right, Christians were still there when Muslims took over, all right, Jews were still there, the churches were still there, synagogues, everything was still the same. The only thing that the Muslims did when they, whatever you want to call it, took over, conquered, whatever you want to call it, the only thing that happened here is that the Europeans, the Roman Empire, who was there, okay, they were sent out. All right? That's all what it is. It's not the religion. Again, Christians were still there. Not a single church was demolished. Not a single synagogue was demolished. Not a single Christian was kicked out unless they decided, those Christians or whoever that's non-Muslims in general, unless they decided to migrate and go somewhere else. I don't think anyone stopped them. And that's why they are still there, okay? So, you know, that's why I'm trying to steer the conversation back into, you know, the purpose of this episode, okay? Because I think that it's slipped a little bit into some sort of a debate, all right? So I hope that that helps and makes sense.
Can I respond without interruptions? Thank you. Because I was still thinking about what delivery basically said. And delivery, I do suggest you look into the history. For example, I referenced the fact that Portugal and Spain were ruled by Islam for 800 years. That did not come about peacefully. That came about because they were conquered. Egypt was conquered. All of these nations, I mean, they even they took over Jerusalem. um, how do you get from Saudi Arabia to Jerusalem? It was not done peacefully, and they did venture into Europe, and this is what sparked the response from 639. That's when the invasion of all these lands started. And if you want to know how Christians and and Jews were treated, you just have to look at the Pact of Umar. Once you start,
Would you?
sorry,
Sorry.
can I
Yeah,
please,
yeah.
guys,
Sorry.
just have to, if you want to find out how Christians and Jews were treated, you just have to look at the Pact of Umar. And the Pact of Umar does reference the Quran. I think it's Surah 929 as a justification to how these Christians and how these Jews and Christians should be treated under the Pact of Umar. So this is what I'm trying to say, guys. All right, and again, I wasn't trying to talk about it. You guys brought it back to the Crusade because you disagreed that the Crusades was started, was a response to Islamic aggression. This is a historical fact. However uncomfortable you might feel about it, it's neither here nor there. It's a historical fact, and we should be allowed to mention historical facts. I'm not scared of talking about anything that Christianity did. That Christians did in the name the Christians did that were wrong. I'm not scared of talking about any of that. Okay, but
Would you?
since we are talking about the Crusades right now, we cannot deny something that is a historical fact just because just to be sensitive to people's sensibilities. That's just
Nobody's
not on.
sensitive to anyone.
Would you?
Then we are denying.
Right. Would you refer the spread of Christianity into Europe as an invasion?
No, because the spread of Christianity.
But then why would you characterize Islam that way?
I was just answering delivery. I was just about to answer you.
No, but that's what you did just now. Is you said the invasion of Europe by Muslims and Islam and all of this. But if you can't do that about Christianity, because there were a lot of people in Europe with not Christian beliefs before Christians showed up proselytizing in Europe, there was a lot of different belief systems in Europe. And why is that not an invasion?
If you let me answer a delivery, I will actually answer. I promise you. For example, because I've looked into the history of how Christianity spread in Syria, how Christianity spread in Ethiopia, how Christianity spread in Europe, how Christianity spread in Rome. Even Constantine himself, Christianity was persecuted for 300 years by the Romans, and then Constantine converted into Christianity, and this is how Christianity became politically involved, and not one sword was lifted. So the spread of Christianity was definitely not through the sword, unlike Islam. It was definitely. Now, have there been historical abuses that people who claim to be Christians, and the reason why I say claim to the Christians is because what they did not go, that was not in accordance with the Christian ideology. But yeah, have there been people who claim to be Christians and did horrible things in the name of Christianity? Yes. But the reason why I'm sitting here and I'm willing to condemn those people is it's because they went against the ideology of Christianity that does not tell Christians to do that. But if we're talking about the spread of Christianity into Europe, for the majority of the spread of Christianity was not done by force, and I think I've referenced several places that you can look up yourself, and you will see that it was not done by force. Syria, I think the Armenians were one of the first to convert to Christianity, and just look into that. The Ethiopians, how did they convert to Christianity? Not one sword was lifted.
I mean, yes, swords were lifted. I don't really understand this claim. Like, European Christianity was spread through both political and actual violence. And like, if we don't understand that corruption has existed in Christianity just as it has in Judaism, then I don't really know where to have this conversation. I mean, between the Borgia family alone, they literally turned the Vatican into like a place of gangsterism for like 100 years. So I just I struggle with this idea of you saying, well, Muslims are doing this and Islam tells them it's okay because I can find these quotes, but these other people who are Christians are only so-called Christians because they're not actually following the messages. This divide is where you end up into a troublesome place because followers of Islam will tell you that the violences you see from like ISIS and these other groups are not representative of truly following Islam. And so if you're going to like give that grace to Christianity, but deny that grace to Islam, it feels like you've already made up your mind about one being morally superior to the other, which is hugely problematic to me.
Delivery. I have not given a grace to Christianity or a grace to Islam. I'm not here giving graces. I would rather be factual. And I have condemned those. Has there been corruption in the Catholic Church? Absolutely, 100%. I have no problems telling you that. The family that you mentioned were hugely corrupt. Absolutely, 100%. I don't think there's such a thing as a perfect history for any ideology. But that is not my issue. Again, listen, guys, you guys keep bringing it back to Islam, but again, I've mentioned all types of different ideologies out there that I disagree with. So my issue is when your ideology does tell you to do that, it's actually quite different from an ideology that tells you to not to do that. Now, a human being is perfect? Absolutely not. Does everyone follow everything that Jesus Christ tells them to do? Every Christian does? No, they don't. Absolutely. This is why I don't look at what people do. I look at what their ideology teaches them to do. This is why I'm not surprised when a feminist aborts a kid, because guess what? She believes in abortion. She thinks it's okay, and I don't think it's okay. Okay, so there's a difference. But me, I'm not giving grace to Christianity or grace to Catholicism. Okay, how am I? Come on, guys.
Because you say, oh, I condemn this and I condemn that family and this person and the corruption, and then you say that you are there people who don't act in the name of act right in the name of Jesus Christ? Yes, there is. You are admitting to it. But what you're doing at the same time, other ideologies, you hide behind the word ideology so hard, and you blame everybody else. Like, why don't you say then, like you said in the beginning, and this is why when you watch it back, you will see the contradictions. The thing is, when you say that, I can say the same to you. There is people who are acting out and doing crazy things in the name of Islam or in the name of Judaism, like Zionism is, for example. But why doesn't it get any grace from you? Why can you not give us that? Why are you just taking it just for Christianity and the rest of us, other religions? Yeah, it's your ideology. That's what teaches people. But no,
Okay.
people always gonna act different. So
I would love to answer that question. I would love to answer that question. When you speak of Zionism is an ideology. When you speak of Islam, Christianity, these are ideologies. And I think the conversation that no one wants to have is what these ideologies actually teaches. If a Zionist does something that Zionism believes in, I'm not going to be surprised. I'm not going to be sitting here and thinking, oh, I should give great. No, they did something that went in accordance with what their religion teaches. That's absolutely fine. And I'm willing to accept that. The conversation that everyone is finding uncomfortable is actually talking about what these ideologies teaches. I gave you loads of examples with the feminists and what
you always bring up feminism. That has nothing to do with religion. Feminism is some type of lifestyle or belief. I am very different from you, and I have a different religion from you, and I hate feminism with a passion. I hate it with a passion.
When I mention ideology, it's a blanket term to talk about every single, whether it's a religion, whether it's I don't know, wokeism, since you don't like the term feminism. The ideology, just so I don't have to mention every single belief that we have on the planet Earth. That's all it is. I'm not hiding behind the blanket, but the thing is, what is it that you're really asking?
I don't know how to say it with any other word. I mean, I tried, Ray tried, Delivery tried, Mike said something. It's just that you give rights to Christian people or people on a whole doing something in the name of Christianity if it's wrong, but you don't give us the same right back. And this is the thing. And then you completely neglect the fact that stuff like xenophobia, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, and Christophobia, how you call it, exists. You just completely dismiss that, although you know there are a few genocides going on based on exactly your so-called ideology.
So genocide, according to my ideology,
No.
meaning
Okay, so there are genocides being committed, right? With the Rohingyas, we have again, we have the Uyghurs in China, okay? We have the Palestinians and all of that. What I'm saying to you is, these people are being persecuted, are being slaughtered, are being killed based on who they are, okay? Based on their belief. With the Palestinians, obviously, we have Christian Palestinians, we have atheists, we have everything in there as well. But okay, so let's forget about that. Let's take the Rohingyas and the Uyghurs, right? They are Muslims. They are not Sunni Muslims or Shia Muslims. They have their own thing, okay? So they are being killed because of them being Muslim.
okay, and I believe that's wrong. According to my ideology that I believe in, I know you don't like the term ideology, but according to Christianity, and what Christianity teaches, what's happening to those Muslims, I completely condemn it. It's wrong. It's horrific. But this is what you don't get. Again, I'm speaking from my belief system, which is what I've mentioned since the very beginning. I'm a Christianness, okay? And you read the Gospels, read what Christ taught. I can stand here and condemn what's happening to those Muslims. Can you condemn the persecution of Christians in Muslim countries where 5,000 each year are being murdered and persecuted, and the churches are being destroyed? Can you do the same thing, Ness?
100%. I condemn all kind of innocent killing by anyone, that is.
Well, I'd just like to make a quick connection with why I find this line of reasoning so troublesome.
Mm-hmm.
So you Octavio said that the Crusades were justified and a just war because of reasons that you believe. And my question then is how do you square that argument with the one that Hitler made, that he was having his just war?
That Hitler was having his just war.
That was his argument. They're invading, they're trying to take over, they're controlling our economy, they're ruining our lives. Germany first, right? How do you square those two things when the entire rise of Christian fascism is based in is based in a mix of scientific racism and religiosity?
It's Muslims that do this, commit this, not Jews. So it's not a peaceful religion, is it? You're blowing innocent people up. Is that a fact or not? It's a fact. It's Muslims that do it. I know I'm right.
If a Jew in blows up a block of flats and kills hundreds of innocent children, and I came to you and I said, yep, Jews are bad, they're killing all these innocent people, what would you say to me?
They're out of order.
And they're not following the teachings of the Torah. So I would like you to have that same standard when you come and you don't know anything about Islam. You've never read the Quran. If you look in the Quran says to save a life is as if you've saved the whole of humanity. To take a life, innocent life, is as if you've killed the whole of humanity, i.e. in its magnitude. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught his companions that when you go to war, fight those who fight you. Do not touch the women. Do not touch the children. Do not touch the elderly, the worshippers in the places of worship. Do not cut down a tree unnecessarily. These are the conducts that we have when we go to war. If a Muslim goes against these teachings, we as Muslims will be the first to condemn. This person is not acting like a Muslim should act, and we have nothing to do with him. Just as you would denounce the Zionists who are killing innocent people, we would denounce anyone who does this in our name, who is not following the teachings of Islam. But because you don't know the teachings, and you have that, with all due respect, ignorance, that breeds this hatred which I can see in every fiber of your body right now.
When it comes to Hitler, first of all, Hitler was not a Christian. Even though he he was good at propaganda, I'll give him that.
He said he was, didn't he?
Sorry? No,
He said he was, didn't he?
He was actually a pagan. He was an Aryan pagan. That's what he truly believed in. But he knew that he was living in a Christian country, so he had to make himself appear as a Christian. But then again, to me,
Aryan pagan.
Delivery. So let me just finish this. Um, um, when I look at what Hitler did and I look at what Christ did, I can immediately say that he wasn't. His belief was not in line with Christ. Now, what do we criticize Hitler for? What Hitler did was not just fight a just war. Yes, the Allies did punish Germany in a very bad way, and he did feel that Germany was badly done. And there's an argument to be made there. Was it unfair? Was the treatment of Germany unfair during before the Second World War, after the First World War? And were the Allies to blame for what happened? There's an argument to be made there. Now, when I look at what Hitler used, what he basically did, it wasn't just war. He went out of his way to go and kill 6 million Jews. He went out of his ways to go and kill loads of other people, millions of other people. That is not just war. That is not self-defense. That is something else.
But I'm asking how it started is any different than how the Crusades started.
Yeah, the difference is the Crusades. You have you have the Islamic armies basically going into these lands and taking over these lands by force, taking over these,
like the Jews, according to Hitler.
Well, was Hitler right when he said that?
Are you?
No, yeah, I am right because this is what I'm saying. Delivery.
So according to you, Hitler was right.
Hold on, the delivery. I have a channel. I have a YouTube channel. It's called the Solution Podcast, and we have debates on it all the time. If you want, you can feature on my channel, and we can go through history, actual history, and we can look. We can
extremely well versed in history. I got you. I'm just saying that you're creating a split here, where you're saying that like what's good for me isn't good for you, and that's the problem, right? You can't say that I can have a holy war, but anyone else who has a holy war isn't Christian enough to do it. That's bad. That's a bad way to look at things.
That's not what I'm saying at all.
Then again, I'm asking you, how is there a difference between how Hitler engineered the rise of Christian fascism in Nazism and how Europe created the Crusades through fear of Islam?
There's no such thing as Christian fascism. The Crusades.
There's no such thing as Christian fascism. Have you looked at America recently?
Delivery. You have to let me speak. There's
okay.
You have to let me speak. Because you can't touch the Christian ideology to fascism. It's contradictory.
I don't, but a lot of Christians do.
If you have an issue with the historicity of the Crusades, if your issue is that I don't agree with your with how you are, with how you're interpreting history or of the Crusades, that's fine. We can look at it because obviously we've disagreed, and that's fine. It's okay to disagree. And if you ever want to look at it in much more depth, we can do that, and I will prove you wrong. Delivery, because this is a historical fact that it wasn't because the Europeans were scared and they Islam was peaceful and everything, and they just wanted to go up there and take over Islam because Islam was spreading. That's not what happened. These are not the historical facts. Okay, you can see Islam coming out of Saudi Arabia, 639. I think Muhammad, when did he die? It was a 6.
So what word would you use if not scared?
Sorry.
What word would you use if you wouldn't say scared? Christianity was what of Islam's rise and conquest?
Yeah, when I say I don't agree with how you define scared or what you meant by the word scared.
That's why I'm asking what word you would choose.
Yes, if I see all these Christian lands, if I'm a Christian, I'm in Europe, and I see all these Christian lands being invaded and taken by force, and these people, and we are being made into second-class citizens, and they are not stopping. They've taken over Jerusalem. They've taken over Portugal. They've taken over Spain. They are moving forward. Okay, maybe you wouldn't do nothing delivery in the name of peace, but I would do something.
Yeah, I'm a Jew. I'm forbidden.
Okay, cool. I would have to. We would have to defend ourselves, because if we don't, then that wouldn't be a
But you
loving.
marched, but like Christians marched on the Holy Land, which is not defense.
They
Like
marched.
millions.
No, I don't agree with that. They didn't march into the Holy Land. The Holy Land.
You don't think that Europeans went to the Holy Land?
No, they the Holy Land was taken over by the Muslims. It was the Muslims that marched into the Holy Land, and there was the
They're
Christians
from
that
that
came.
region. They're Arabian,
Let
right?
me just
They're
finish.
from
Let me just
Arabia.
finish. Let me just finish the sentence. It
Well,
doesn't matter.
this is no.
They
Well, I'm
marched.
sorry. I'm
They
sorry.
marched into
No,
the
no, no,
Holy
no.
Land,
Sorry.
and the Christians came and
Um,
took over the Holy Land.
Go
no,
ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. There's something here that you are mentioning your point of view, and you're bringing it as a fact. Okay. You keep repeating, and honestly, it's not about, again. I'm not really triggered, but the thing is, you keep, again, for the sake of listeners and everyone else here with us, you keep repeating that, you know, Muslims came from Saudi Arabia. Okay, first of all, it wasn't called Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is less than 100 years old. But anyway,
Mecca, Medina,
um,
yeah.
well, I'm still trying to make a point here. You said, they came with swords and they took over and they marched that land. Right. The swords were against who? Yeah. Okay, now that's all right. The swords were against who? Against who? All right. And there's this story, just like you brought up Omar himself. I'm really interested to know your part of the story about how the keys of Jerusalem were delivered and were handed actually to Omar, and what sort of sword that Omar was holding, or even a horse, because he wasn't even riding a horse when he arrived to Jerusalem. So the swords were, yes, there had been some battles, of course, right? But they were against who? And the swords against who? Against the inhabitants, the people who were living there, or against the people who were actually taking over and invading them, which are the Byzantine or the Romans or whatever you want to call them, like the Europeans, basically. Okay, so again, you are. I really appreciate your passion and your about Christianity, and you know what? I really have the same passion here, right? But you mentioned so many things about like Christians were persecuted there. I'm really interested to understand, for how long have been the Muslims ruling until the Crusaders came? And was there, like, were the Christians exterminated? Were they kicked out of the land? Were they really, really oppressed? Were they treated as second-class citizens? Even in Europe, by the way, even in Europe, all right? I can bring you some, in fact, some Spanish person, I used to work with, okay? He was the one who was telling me about their history, about, even if someone is again, a Christian in Spain, right? He's trying to impress the girl that he loves. He would use some Arabic words, all right? Simple as that. So you're saying that you became second-class citizens? Honestly speaking, again, you mentioned this word. Let's not go to Europe first. Let's talk about the Levant and that area where it was actually inhabited by the Arabs who came from Saudi Arabia. Guess when? Okay, and then what were their names? What were the names of those tribes who left Saudi Arabia? Because again, I'm not going to call it Saudi Arabia. In fact, it was called the Arabic Peninsula or the Hijaz later on. Okay, because that's unfair to call it Saudi Arabia. All right, but the inhabitants, the people, the indigenous people who were there, no one lifted a sword against them. They were living there, and they were ruled by the Byzantines, right? And then when the Muslims came, they just came to claim the land back. All right. So Europeans were actually there, and they claimed, and the Muslims from Saudi Arabia.
What do you mean claim the land?
There were Arabs living there. That's exactly where your historical facts are not facts.
Hold on. What do you mean?
That's exactly what it is.
This is the easiest way to answer your question, Octavio. Is Jesus was a blank Jew who gave birth to Christianity. What's the blank?
So I was trying. So deliver. I don't mean to be. Not trying to be rude. I was
Palestinian, right? Or we could say Canaanite if you prefer.
Ray was saying. I'm still trying to think about what Ray was saying. You're saying something else. So Ray, I want to ask you some direct questions. Was the spread
who was ruling Jerusalem before the Muslims came? Who was ruling Jerusalem before the Muslims came? Don't tell me religion-wise. Don't tell me religion-wise. No. Don't tell me religion-wise. I'm talking about.
Can I speak, please? Thank you.
Yeah.
We all know that the Romans kind of dispersed the Jews everywhere, all around. I think it was 1-3 something, but that land was the name of that land was actually changed, right? It used to be called Judea, and it was changed and so on, and all that was the doing of the Romans. What I'm talking about, what has this got to do with Islam conquering Christian lands or Byzantine lands?
You mean Roman lands?
You gave one example.
Exactly.
You gave one example of Jerusalem. Okay, first of all, they were taking a land that did not belong to them, but regardless. Okay. My question to you, Ray, was when Islam decided to spread, okay, was that when they decided to do that, because they also took over Portugal and Spain and so on, was that done peacefully, Ray?
Did Rome do it peacefully?
Thank you.
Before we reach that, one second.
That was my entire point.
Before we reach that, okay, let's go back in time. Again, the same question of delivery and the same question of me. In fact, you made it that Muslims came and conquered the Christian land, but forget about Muslim Christian. Who was ruling that land when Muslims came? Who? Not religion-wise.
Oh, not religion-wise. Yeah, that land was.
Who conquered that land?
That land, no one had conquered that land, as far as I know, historically speaking. No one conquered that land. That land was not. I think.
Who did the Muslims fight?
I think
it wasn't a part of Rome.
Okay, delivery. You can take over from here.
I mean, I think Rome kind of left it alone after they did what they did to the Jews.
Left it alone.
Yeah, that's what I think.
You mean after or before they massively displaced the native population?
After they massively displaced the native populations. I mean, it would have still belonged to Roman when you look at it. Really.
So it belonged to Rome.
It belonged to Rome. Yeah, it would have belonged. It would have.
And they took the land by peace treaty.
Hold on. It would have really belonged to. I mean, Constantine when he converted, it would have belonged to Christianity, really and truly. If we're talking about who that land belonged to, but
because of conquest, because of foreign conquest is your argument.
No, sorry, delivery. Keep talking while I'm talking. So what's the question?
Well, Constantine was from where?
Constantine was a Roman.
Right. So Roman conquests of the Holy Land led to the natives of that region reconquering the land. And that's the part you have an issue with?
No, the natives of that region were not Muslims. The natives of that region were not...
Were Semitic people, right? Jews. We're Semitic people.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm talking about the religion.
It doesn't matter?
No, it doesn't.
Why are we only talking about religion?
Because this is what.
Well, my question was clearly. If we put the religion aside, we're talking about the indigenous people.
I'm talking about the spread of Islam. I'm not talking about the indigenous people. I'm not talking about.
But you're ignoring everything that happened before it.
Hold on, I'm not talking about when Arabs. I'm not talking about the relocation of Arabs from from one part of the Middle East to another part of the Middle East. This is not what I'm talking about. We're talking about whether the spread of Islam, okay, into all those Christian lands, okay, was peaceful. And
They
race still
weren't
has-
Christian lands. They were
Sorry,
not Christian lands.
I'm not
They were
talking
Roman
about.
lands.
I'm not. God, did Constantine did the Roman Emperor Constantine convert to Christianity? Delivery.
Before or after conquering the Holy Land?
The land was already in their possession. I'm asking a question.
Right. So him converting, hold on. So him converting to Christianity after he conquered the region made all those lands Christian too?
Okay. The Romans dispersed the Jews, okay, massively. All right. This was around 132 or something like that. All right, fine. Christianity was under persecutions by the Romans. That land would have been under the Romans would have basically had that land.
Hold on. Are you familiar with the Great Jewish Revolt?
Let me just
because we're going to go back 60 years. We're going to go back 60 years to give this context.
Please,
do you know about the Great Jewish Revolt in 66?
Delivery. Can I please just finish my point? The point I'm trying to make is not that. The point I'm trying to make is Constantine converts converts to Christianity. He turns the Roman Empire into Christians. He says that he makes Christianity legal. He says that this is the religion now. So that land would have still belonged to someone like Constantine because he was the Roman emperor. And by then, Islam had not come about until 630 something. This is where I'm traced. So that land would have belonged to who then?
The natives.
Exactly.
No, not the natives. It wouldn't have belonged to the natives.
It belongs to the conqueror then. So you have no problem with Islam retaking the land.
No, it belongs to the conqueror, and the conqueror were the Romans.
Which means that you have no problem with Islam retaking the land.
I have no problem.
Exactly. That's the point.
Sorry, can I just finish? I have no problems with anyone doing anything. What I have a problem is people being dishonest and saying that this does not come from their ideology. This is not supported by their ideology. Me mentioning historical facts should not be an issue. This is what I'm trying to say. And Ray still hasn't answered the question. How did Islam spread? Was how Islam spread around the Middle East into all those Christian lands? Was that peaceful or was that not peaceful?
The same way that
a broken logic question, though. Yeah, exactly. You're using a broken logic question. It was not Christian lands just because the emperor converted after he burned them.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
It does not make the Holy Land Christian land just because the Roman emperor burned them and then converted.
It does not make if it belongs to the conqueror and the conquerors were Romans and the Romans converted to Christianity, so it would still belong to Rome, whether the Rome was pagan or Christian. It really doesn't matter. It would still belong to Rome.
Right. So then, according to you, it doesn't matter that Islam conquered that land back.
Yes, my point had nothing to do with Islam conquering those lands. I'm saying that the way Islam spread was through the sword.
Do you understand that the Prophet ﷺ, when Islam when Islam started, do you understand that he faced a lot of persecution and everything? Do you understand that? So Islam was not just like it came and everybody welcomed it and it was peaceful. So do you understand that the other people who were there prior actually fought it?
If you're talking about the disputes that Muhammad had with when he was in Mecca with the Quraysh tribes, if you're talking about that, and then he had to move to Medina and so on and so forth.
Generally speaking, it's not just that was a big part of it, but there is more to it.
I mean, to me, that's not my issue. My issue is he had issues with people in that region. That's not my issue. My issue is what transpired from it, what became sacred, holy text. That's what my issue is and what it teaches. Like I said, there are many ideologies which I have issues with when it comes to what they teach. And I believe that what they teach influences what people do. And that's my entire point.
Look, I can sit here and I can point you to many things in the Bible that call for violence, right? But since this is not a religious debate, I'm not going to do this. But I feel like maybe you need to remember that a little bit, because all the books, they leave a lot of room for interpretation. All the religions teach something or another, and what Ray and Delivery are trying to say to you is, when these people are native to a land, this is they are there. It then whatever religion they choose is whatever religion they choose. You cannot say, oh, you are this religion and that's why you belong to this place. It doesn't work like that.
Can you point me to one thing that in the teachings of Jesus that said that that you can turn around and reinterpret it as going to hurt people?
I'd rather do that later on. I don't want to have this kind of debate here right now, because it's.
No, I agree. I understand.
Yeah,
I just wanted to.
It's not a problem. I can tell you a bunch.
Since we're talking about like early Roman time for a moment, I just want to ask if you're familiar with the Great Jewish Revolt that happened in 66 AD.
The Jews were always revolting, wasn't it? Wasn't that the issue? I think there was one major revolt that led to, and I think was, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was 132 AD, but one major revolt that led to Jews being dispersed everywhere. But the Jews still lived in that land, not all of them.
Okay, that's not what I'm asking about. I'm asking about 66 AD, the Great Jewish Revolt that took place on the plateau of Masada.
Yes. What about it?
Okay, why did they revolt?
I'm not sure the reasons off the top of my head now. Why?
Because they were being persecuted by the Romans. Okay. And they wanted to build a national identity. So, like, arguably, the Maccabean and Hasmonean dynasties were among the first Judean nationalists, right? And because of this, because they wanted to develop their homeland for themselves, they were persecuted by the invading, conquering army, the Romans. Right?
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah.
Okay. So the persecutor, which was an invader, then converted to Christianity, and all of their past sins were wiped away?
All of their past sins were wiped away. No, he converted.
Well, you just agreed that they were the persecutor.
No, he converted to Christianity because he found a better ideology that he thought.
That's not what I asked you.
Yeah, what you're asking doesn't really make sense. Delivery. All their sins were washed away. No, what the Romans did was.
Well, you agreed they conquered the land, right?
They conquered the land, and what they did to the Jews was wrong, according to my Christian beliefs.
Okay. So then, if the cousins of those Jews traveled the other Semites.
Yeah.
Right? Because Arabs and Jews at that period in time were literally cousins. We're less cousins now because of Ashkenazis, which I am, and other like various parts of the diaspora of Judaism. But Semite means child of Sam, right? So Arabs and ancient Jews. And if they're cousins, the other children of Sam, then traveled across Arabia to retake the land from Mediterranean conquerors, then what is wrong with that?
First of all, I wouldn't call them cousins. Second of all, Islam is a completely different ideology from Judaism. And third of all, I would say that there was an ideology there that was closer to Judaism, which was Christianity, because I do not.
That's not true.
Sorry, I did not.
Ancient Islam and ancient Judaism are literally siblings.
Delivery. It's not polite to keep interrupting people. Just let me finish the sentence, please. Because then I lose my train of thought. Then it's like I have to think. It becomes annoying. Just be respectful. I believe that Christianity, which was started by the Jews, would have been the more appropriate religion to belong in that land. And since the conquerors converted to Christianity, and Christianity is closer to Judaism than Islam, then because Islam came 600 years after, then I think the people that were in charge of that land at the time would have been the appropriate people to be in charge, and not who you call the cousins, because I don't believe they are cousins at all.
Well, I mean, you think that we're all children of Adam and Eve, right?
That I do believe.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we have Noah and Abraham and all of these other patriarchal figures, right?
Yeah, we all cousins in that case.
and yeah, we are. Some more distant than others, yes. But here's the problem, right? Is when I look at the Semites, which are an actual ethno group, right? Which includes Arabs and Semitic Jews, right? I can't remember the guy's name, but I think Ness referred to him earlier, a German from the 1800s who turned anti-Semitism to meaning specifically anti-Judaism. Thank you. I always forget his name. Is the same thing as what early, like, quote, Zionism did with the hexagram, which you might, or other people might think of as the Star of David, but it was not the Star of David. It was a symbol for Semitic peoples throughout the entire region, going all the way to Iran. And by the way, I was a little confused earlier when you referred to Aryan pagans, and I think you may be like conflating something there, where Aryans were the conquerors that moved into India and created the Vedic texts by conquering the Dravidians. And Hitler believed that those Aryans came from the Norse Aryans, but there's literally zero evidence to support that theory. So my struggle here is that what it seems like you're doing is you're using a conclusion to look for evidence instead of building a conclusion from evidence. And the reason that I find that troublesome is because this is where I said that you're giving grace, is when you say, and you only just recently said that what, Roman conquerors did to the Holy Land was wrong, but then you immediately shift gears back to what, like, the other residents of Arabia did was worse. And like, this is not good logic. And the reason that I think it's not good logic is because one of those two parties is from that region and the other is not. And if you can call what Islam did in its conquest an invasion, but will not give that same language to Christianity's spread through Europe, then I don't really understand why you can't hear where you're giving grace to your own ideology.
You're contradicting yourself all over the place. You're arguing from, these people are Semitic, so therefore they have more right to that land than
they're from there.
They're from there. They're not exactly from Judea, are they? They came from another part of the Middle East, and they went over there and they took over and they imposed their religion on those people, a religion which
they
is
didn't
delivery. Come on, man.
They didn't. Jewish people were happily living under Muslim rule.
Imagine if I did this.
But I haven't. If you interrupted me when I said something untrue, I would be happy to be interrupted.
No, you said a lot of things.
Jewish people.
You said a lot of things. You said a lot of things.
Guys,
you said a lot of things.
Muslim rule.
Guys, we're gonna have to.
Do you see what happens?
No. Here's the thing.
This is how unfair that is.
No. But wait. This
how
is
annoying that is to be talking, and then someone interrupts you all the time because he thinks what you're saying is untrue, and yet everything that I thought you were saying was untrue.
This is unfortunately a debate, and it does happen. What I really want to have to say, and this is such a bad moment to end this, but we're like 2 hours. You guys gave me 2 episodes. I don't know. Like, I think Ray is tired. Maybe he fell asleep.
I'm just starting my day. Just starting my day. It's 4:20 a.m. now.
Guys, but we did like 2 hours, and as interesting as it is, and and especially now we get to the juicy part, because now the delivery is warmed up and it's becoming really interesting. So maybe we can do this again, and maybe we can have some last thoughts. And I don't know, like if delivery wants to come on your podcast and you guys want to do this, I'll hook you guys up, and then I would love to watch.
Everyone is welcome. Everyone is welcome. And I will not interrupt you. I will not do what delivery did to me. I will be quiet while you talk because I believe in being. And shouts to delivery. Delivery is just being passionate. That's all it is. And it's absolutely fine.
And so that's the thing. So any last thoughts before we close this out? Because we really did over 2 hours.
I love what Octavio say. Everybody's welcome. That is the attitude that we should have. Everybody's welcome, because I think this is how we build bridges. That was the goal, the whole podcast, right? Start conversation. We're never gonna agree, but at least we can get to know each other better. Because phobia is fear, and fear is always rooted in ignorance and not knowing. And I invite all our listeners to please do your research or reach out to us. Come, all your questions are welcome. If you have any doubts, please reach out to any of our guests, and we'll be happy to answer all your questions. Those are my last thoughts.
Thank you, Maria. Okay. Octavio, you want to go uninterrupted for your last thoughts?
Guys, I joke around as well, okay? But yeah, I am passionate, just like everyone is, and I think I've proved my point that everyone was passionately arguing from their ideology or what they believe in or what they believe to be right. I think the experiment did work. Eventually, that's what ended up happening, and I had a great time. I really did, and I know how to separate my emotions and so on from just the debate itself. I don't hold no grudges, no nothing. I don't even think in those terms. That's why I have a channel and I have debates all the time. And but yeah, so delivery, please, anytime, rate anytime. If you want to educate me more, if you feel that I've gotten something wrong about Islam and you want to educate, please, you're more than welcome. Delivery, same goes to you. Michael, same goes to you. Maria, Ness, and so on, same goes to you. So yeah, and I would love to be invited back. And I had a great time being in this podcast.
Mike?
Yeah, I think we have more in common. I think religions have more in common than separate us. And we just need to be understanding of everyone's beliefs. That's it, Ness.
Thank you. And Ray?
Look, I really enjoyed this conversation. Like I said at the very beginning, sometimes, those conversations are not about, changing someone's point of view. It's about really, maybe clarifying where everyone is coming from. Okay. If there is some wrong information that was shared, I'm more than happy to be guided and to be, given some sources where we can research and read more and discuss them or challenge them sometimes. Okay, I'm really happy to do that, and I'm sure that Octavio, you're also, just like you mentioned now, okay, you're happy to learn more as much as I am, and yes. I love that, man. I really love it. All love, as you said, no hard feelings, no hold no grudges. Okay. You're my brother, right?
You're my brother too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, delivery.
I think it's fine. I was talking a lot.
No,
I follow an ancient. It's fine. I follow an ancient, tradition of Jews not knowing when to shut the hell up. But that gave birth to all kinds of creative things in the world, so it's fine. I just want to say that, like, ultimately, I think that if we all remember that we are all children of a book that we find to be like inspiring of how to be better than we were yesterday, then we remember that we are co-religionists. We are people whose beliefs can support each other if we allow each other all the respect and grace to pursue that betterness for ourselves and for each other. I think that it's important to remember that judgment is not our domain. And while we may not be qualified to judge each other, we are always qualified to guide each other. And this is something I think is very important that we all hold high and important, is that we can all learn from each other. And that's really all I think I have to say.
Thank you so much. That was great. And I agree with you 100%. I have the same ideology. I think we should be a better person than we were yesterday. So, okay, guys, thank you for tuning in, wherever you're tuning in from. And we'll be back next week.